No, these diseases will not go away. Yes, I have to take tons of medication every single day. Yes, there's tons of needles involved and it does suck.
I might freeze as I'm walking the curve. Help me, please.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Music. Today we're going to be looking at my song Paralyzed, which is a song that I released in June of 2020, but I actually wrote it years before that. I actually wrote it when I first moved to New York City. Now this song is about a panic attack that I had literally weeks after I moved to New York City. And to properly tell the story behind the song, I think I need to give a little bit of context. So rewind to 2017, I had just moved to New York City and I had brain surgery literally 2 months prior to moving to New York City. So it was pretty soon and I didn't give my body the proper time to heal or adjust to all of the new changes that my body was going through post-surgery. Now I had just spent the last 5 months in and out of hospitals because of this brain tumor. And I was so eager to just move to New York City and start making it as an artist that I really didn't take the time to, learn all these changes that my body was going through. So I ended up moving to New York City with 6 chronic illnesses and diseases that I had yet to understand. These included, but were not limited to, Addison's disease, acromegaly, diabetes insipidus, hyperprolactinemia, hypothyroidism, hypogonadism, osteoarthritis. You get the picture. Basically, I was dumb. I did not take the time to understand my body, what was going on, and what medication I needed. And I was so eager to become an artist that I basically put my body at risk, which tends to be a recurring theme. But to clarify, in my hometown of York, Pennsylvania, there weren't really any doctors that had experienced my type of illnesses before. So it wasn't until I moved to New York City and went through about 4 different doctors until I found the correct doctor who was able to properly medicate and treat all these diseases that I have. In hindsight, I'm a lot healthier now and I understand the conditions of my diseases better. No, these diseases will not go away. Yes, I have to take tons of medication every single day. Yes, there's tons of needles involved and it does suck. Okay, so now that we're all caught up, let's get back to this panic attack that basically inspired the song Paralyzed. So it's a Tuesday morning in mid-November, it's snowing, first snow of the season, and I'm on my way to the gym. And all of a sudden I just freeze in my tracks and I don't know what's going on. My heart starts beating really fast, I start hyperventilating, and I sort of just collapse to the ground. And people are walking right past me because it's New York City.
Yeah, maybe you guys can go around. All right, thanks, New York.
And I didn't really know what was going on, but it felt like the entire world was kind of just closing in on me, and I didn't really know what to do. Eventually, it passed, and once it passed, I got up, and I did not go to the gym, but instead I went straight back to my apartment, and I kind of just went on autopilot. So I hardly remember what happened next, but I remember 3 hours later, I had a song written, and it was Paralyzed. Paralyzed was really just the musical embodiment of the anxiety that I was experiencing in that moment. And so I really wanted Paralyzed to sound like anxiety. I didn't want it to be groovy. I didn't want it to be anthemic. I really wanted it to be jaw clenching. And because of that, Paralyzed itself is in a slightly ambiguous key. Technically, it's an A-flat Lydian, but there's little hints of E-flat major, but you never really hear it. So the song starts out with this A-flat 9 arpeggio, right? So it kind of just goes 1, 5, 9. And harmonics. That part kind of establishes the key, but you don't really know if it's a major or minor key. So it's kind of just A-flat, E-flat, and B-flat, right? So there isn't really any notes that tell you whether or not the key is major or minor. And I kind of wanted to keep it ambiguous for a while. So then when the drums kick in, I really wanted to make sure that it was syncopated and not grounded at all. So the drum part accents every 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 4 and, like so. 2 and, 3 and, 4 and then it repeats. But then the guitar part plays a 3-note arpeggio. So what ends up happening is that there's a different note that's accented over the downbeats of the drums. And it sounds like this. A flat, B flat, A flat, B flat. And so when that happens, you kind of lose the sense of home, which is exactly what I wanted. As for the 808 stutters in the verses, that's kind of just something I messed around with in MIDI. I created these 30-second note stutters on the hi-hat and the snare. And I kind of just literally moved it around until it was somewhere that I liked. And it actually ended up lining up with the bass and drums really nicely, so. And so that just repeats. And I wanted to make sure that it syncopated really nicely, but didn't distract too much. Now the pre-chorus is just a way to build up energy so that we can get a satisfying release in the chorus. And it's really just an A flat, B flat, C progression over and over again. But the thing that really builds it is this repeating C note in this guitar. And it really builds up into the end so that when you get to the chorus, it's a satisfying release. Now when we get to the chorus, it finally releases all the energy that was built up in the pre-chorus. And it's just pretty simple. It's just an A flat major chord going to a C9 chord, which is a 1-3 progression. 3. So that's a really simple progression. But the thing that adds the anxiety that I need for this chorus is the lead guitar, which is sort of this like finger tapping legato line that I have. And it sounds like this. And that, over the backdrop of the chorus, really like gives you this jaw-clenching type of feeling. So when we get to the end of the chorus, we get this B flat chord, which kind of alludes to E flat major, but I never actually resolved to E flat. It just goes straight back into A flat. E flat, and then A flat. So when we get to the bridge, we get this little breath of relief from the anxiety throughout the rest of the song. I wanted it to be like this kind of, break from this crazy like jaw clenching song. That's where we get the first like major 7 chord, which is like this really, jazzy home sounding chord. And it's being played through this tremolo amp, which makes it sound really swimmy and, ethereal. And that combined with like the synths that we have in the background. Combine that with the rest of the band. So you get this kind of really nice like slow break for the rest of the song. And towards the end, it starts to build up into the final chorus. Now, in the actual song production, this is just a demo, by the way. In the actual song production, I had my buddy Mike Monto, who's really good with like screams and fry vocals. I had him guest appear on the track with some fry vocals. I'm not a good screamer / fry vocalist, so he was perfect for the role. And I had him, do some screams for the song, and I just had it tucked underneath of my main vocals, so it can kind of give you that subconscious, like really scream aggressiveness in the track. Now, Mike actually directs all of my music videos, and so he really came through with this track, and I think it really completes, the overall tone of the song. Okay, well that's it for Paralyzed. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Behind the Music. If there's anything that I missed, or if you have any questions about songwriting or song production, let me know in the comments. I reply to every single comment. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing so you can be notified about the next episode that I release.
Because I'm paralyzed.